Doesn't mean they're going to make money on it. They likely will not. But it's the number one movie in the world right now because it just opened 6 days ago. So Disney gets to avoid another embarrassment yet because it hasn't officially happened. But let's see here what Disney is leaning on. Q2 adjusted EPS up 20% from the prior year quarter. For the first half of 25, EPS up 32%. That's earnings per share. A sustained profitability in streaming business, continuing ESPN's evolution as the preeminent digital sports platform. Although I think that's one of the things that's really going to be interesting is when Disney comes out with that direct-to-consumer ESPN product, unless they really cheapen the price right away, I think that's going to scare the hell out of Wall Street because I don't think they're really prepared for how few people are going to sign up for it, in my opinion. But film and television, best in class film delivery. Best in class film delivery. Yeah, okay. Mufasa, The Lion King, which came out before Christmas, so didn't really come out in the first quarter. It bled over into the first quarter, but that's the movie that they headline with because that's the movie that did the best in the quarter for them. Not Captain Falcon, not Snow White, or Snow Woke, as people call it, have now earned more than $720 million at the box office for The Lion King. Thunderbolts from Marvel Studios opened last week and is currently the number one movie in the world. There's the pablum, there's the hype that means absolutely nothing, but Disney likes to say that. Doesn't mean they're going to make money on it. They likely will not. But it's the number one movie in the world right now because it just opened 6 days ago. So Disney gets to avoid another embarrassment yet because it hasn't officially happened. We have many more highly anticipated titles coming to theaters, including Lilo and Stitch, Elio, Fantastic Four, Freakier Friday, Zootopia 2, and Avatar, Fire and Ash. Our successful, define this for me, Bob. Theatrical releases have a multiplier effect across our company. Perfect. I'm so glad he brought this up because I was going to chew their butts today on this Flywheel garbage. The Flywheel doesn't work when nobody's going to see your movies anymore. But they're still going to sell this song and dance. Our successful, which they're not recently, Bob, releases have a multiplier effect across our company, creating franchises and generating long-term value even after they've left theaters. Really? Okay, like what? The Moana franchise is a perfect recent example. Moana 2, okay, there's one, is from Walt Disney Animation Studios, biggest premiere on Disney Plus since Encanto. Again, compared to Netflix, guys, let's be honest here, we're stretching. Garnering more than 139 million hours streamed since March 12th. Okay. Earning more than $1 billion at the global box office to become one of the top three films of 24. Moana. So wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Successful theatrical releases. There have been 4 since Moana. They've only mentioned Moana. Successful theatrical releases did not include, according to Bob Iger, Captain Falcon DEI. Did not include, according to Bob Iger, Snow White. Is not going to include Thunderbolts. And they mentioned Mufasa being successful in the theater as one of the the only movie they really talked about that bled into the first quarter from to the second quarter for Disney, from the first quarter for Disney. But no mention of its success on Disney Plus. So this Flywheel they're talking about, according to Disney right now, the entire Flywheel is Moana.
Oh my goodness. This company right now, I mean, Lilo and Stitch will be refreshing.
That's what
the
they
Flywheel.
said.
That's that, but they don't have a Lilo and Stitch ride. I'll point that out.
Right. I was going to say that's part of the Flywheel, though, Jonas. It's in the parks.
Right. The merchandise is in the parks. They don't have. This is a Lilo and Stitch is successful before the people in the chat think that we're saying that Lilo and Stitch is not successful. What I'm trying to say here is they saw this coming. It is a vertical within the company, the Lilo and Stitch brand. There is no way they didn't know that this was coming. And they don't have a ride. They're not doing well. They're doing an advertising push. That's the thing they need to be focusing on. Instead, we got Snow White and Thunderbolts.
Snow White should be the piece of the flywheel right now. That should have been unquestionably a piece of the flywheel. The Little Mermaid, the remake, the live action from 2 years ago, absolutely unequivocally should have been a major piece of the flywheel. Why? Because it's in theaters. It goes to Disney Plus. It has for decades been massive merchandise sellers, which is a highly profitable component for the Walt Disney Company. And most importantly, it is a park driver, meaning it gets people to go into the parks to go meet the characters of Snow White and the Little Mermaid. Disney princess characters are the preeminent driving force because Disney is still overwhelmingly for girls. And their most expensive investments, right? We know that Mufasa was far cheaper to create than was Snow White. Cheaper to create than the Little Mermaid by quite a bit, probably half as much, right? Maybe even half as much as Captain Falcon. And it's not working. And you're talking right there, because what I don't see, their successful theatrical releases that they're talking about before the Thunderbolts opened, ladies and gentlemen, has Disney over $500 million in the hole so far this year. This line about generating long-term value even after they leave theaters, there will be no long-term value for Thunderbolts. There will be no long-term value unequivocally for Snow White. Snow White was already in the park. They didn't have to make a movie. That version, the Rachel Ziegler version of Snow White, did not drive new people to buy toys, did not drive people to go to the parks. Deadline themselves even estimated that that movie only generated about $2 million in merchandise sales for the Walt Disney Company, which is pathetic. And no, Captain America Brave New World or Captain Falcon DEI unequivocally will not be a long-term driver for the flywheel for Disney. That paragraph right there, that fourth paragraph in this executive commentary is bull crap. Absolutely 1,000% crap.
Let me hop in here with why I have some skepticism regarding, and that's the understatement of the year, why I have some skepticism regarding Disney and this earnings report. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take something that everybody out there knows, and then I'm going to apply what Disney says about it and see if there's a disconnect. Okay, this is from Deadline. So the Deadline article says, at the movie studio, strong carryover business from holiday releases Mufasa, The Lion King, and Moana 2 was, and this is a Disney quote, largely offset.
Yes.
Pay attention to that, folks. Largely offset.
Meaning completely offset.
By the results of Snow White and Captain America Brave New World, Disney said. Now, folks, this is why I have skepticism about the entire earnings report, is because you all know that Snow White and Captain America Brave New World are something like $500 million in the hole. So what Disney is suggesting in that statement is that Lion King in January and February, essentially, and March, and Moana 2. What's the period here, Valiant? Before what are the months? I think I got that one wrong. What are the months for this one?
The coverage here is Q2 for Disney, Jan 1 through March 31st.
Okay, got it. January through March. Want to make sure we had that right. So they're suggesting that Lion King and Moana 2 in January, February, and March, that they were offset. Not when they opened.
Right.
Just, okay. So that would suggest then, if you were reading this as a normal English speaker, that they're saying that Lion King and Moana 2 must have made, hundreds of millions of dollars. We know that didn't happen. Okay. It's the next line, though, that is so impressive. It says content sales and licensing and other. The line item encompassing studio returns saw revenue shoot up 54% from the year earlier period. Now, you would look at that and you would say, wow, 54% increase in revenue. And this is amazing. What did it? And then it explains. It says to $2.15 billion. The company, Disney, cited strength from Moana 2 as it moved from theatrical to home entertainment.
Right. So home entertainment typically means the PVOD sales, right? And there's only so much of that. And then of course there's also the Disney Plus swiped the credit card for $100 million to pay. Again, but they're talking about the revenues and not the ultimate take over the entirety of Disney, because a lot of these segments you'll show revenue in one segment. Well, you report it and say, oh, look, this segment made so much revenue, content and licensing. And then somewhere else, like DTC, you show the loss. Right.
So
the $100 million. Go ahead.
The reason for my skepticism when I read this is because this is the one area you, me, Jonas, and the entire audience knows. We know this, and we know it because the box office numbers are fully public. Yeah. All the other stuff I don't have access to. I can't go into the cash registers of the Magic Kingdom, right? I don't know the other stuff because they never make it available. But the stuff that is available, the stuff that I can see, I look at it and then I look at what they're saying about it, and I realize I can't make this jive. Like, I simply cannot say that I see $500 million losses in that quarter, and then that was offset by whatever Moana 2 and Mufasa did in the first 3 months of a dead winter.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.